introduce a versatile film actor whose remarkable talent has shown through in a variety of Telugu films, many of which have been brought to the screen by the esteemed Usha Kiran Productions. Known for his captivating performances, he has left an indelible mark on the audience hearts, particularly with his memorable dialogue, Ne Namanu, which has become synonymous with his unique style and charisma. Beyond his impressive acting career, he is also a CEO and a habitual reader, embodying a blend of creativity, leadership, and a deep appreciation for storytelling. His diverse experiences in the industry provide him with invaluable insights into the intricacies of filmmaking. As we embark on the topic of filmmaking today, we are excited to gain his perspectives on the current trends, challenges, and innovations shaping the cinematic landscape. Please join me in welcoming this multifaceted artist to our discussion. Please welcome, sir, from our Essence
Thank
Group.
you. Thank you very much. It's a very
Thank you.
flattering introduction, but nevertheless, thank you for it.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
a pleasure to be addressing Dr. Virinci and members of the Essence Group this evening on the subject of filmmaking today. My association with films started at a rather young age. When I was in middle and high school, where weekends meant viewing a film. For us, it was English films. There were 3 theaters in Secunderabad and 2 theaters in Hyderabad, which we frequented and were able to see films made in that period in the English language and got acquainted with, well, basically films made in Hollywood and in England. That interest has continued till today. There was always this glamour attached to the film industry. And like young people, all young people, I also had an ambition to be associated with films, preferably as an actor. Towards that end, I participated in elocution and debating competitions while in high school and college. And in college, got involved in amateur English theatre. I represented our college in inter-college debates, elocution competitions, plays, that is theatre, represented the university on 2 occasions at the inter-university youth festivals held in New Delhi. I believe we performed to an audience comprising of the then Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and the Education Minister, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. This helped pick up public speaking, gave me the confidence. Additionally, All India Radio also used to invite younger people like us from colleges to participate in storytelling sessions or in little playlets and so on. So that sort of prepared us for films ultimately. And one started seeing films or continued to see films while in college. With the advent of television, opportunities arose to act in telephones, in serials, in short films, and so on, which later came in handy when we started to get cast in documentaries and in feature films. I was fortunate in the sense that I worked for a group of companies which had gone into feature film making, which had gone into making of serials for television channels and work for the OTT platforms. So I was cast in the very first film that our banner, which was Ushakiran Movies, made, which was Srivariki Premalekha, directed by that master of comedy, Jandhyala. Thereafter, several films followed, films like Ashwini, Dukudu, uh, Blade Babji, so many of them that Wikipedia says that I've appeared till date in 180 films. I did not keep track once I crossed the figure of 100, but there it is. But my roles have been essentially very short, more in the nature of cameo, in certain cases, walk on parts. They said, Le Mirundale, you're lucky for our film banner unit, so on and so forth. So I was there. But I have not been a professional actor as such, as per the classic definition. Acting for me has always been a hobby. Now, Duve Kawali, Manmadodu, Gaganam, Adavari Matalaku, Ardhale Verule. These were some of the other films which enabled me to work with very fine directors in the Telugu film industry. Singitam Srinivas Rao, Kodanram Reddy, Vijay Bhaskar, Mauli, Selvaraghavan, Kodanram Reddy, Shrinu Vaitla, among others. I continued my association with films by reading about them and keeping myself involved or informed about the various trends in filmmaking. Radha Krishna from Tamil film industry, Rajendra Singh Babu, Kannada film industry, Jayant Paranji from our own Telugu industry, and so on. Today, I would like to discuss with you, to the best of my knowledge, certain very obvious changes that have taken place in the recent years in filmmaking in India and elsewhere. And elsewhere. Obviously, the first thing that everyone is aware of is the advent of digital technology. Digital technology has revolutionized the process of filmmaking the world over. Earlier, you made films using, the celluloid, the film, the raw stock, which constituted a substantial part of the cost of production of a film. In fact, I know of several producers who have tied down their directors to a shooting ratio. For instance, if your edited length of a feature film, say, is about 120 minutes, which is in those days, which was 12 reels, you had to complete your film in a ratio of 1 is to 4 or 1 is to 5, 1 is to 6. Exceptions being in the case of directors like Raj Kapoor, for instance, in the Hindi film industry, his financiers believed in him. I understand that Raj Kapoor recorded something like 10, 12 songs when he started a film. Not that he used all those songs in that film, but used them in subsequent films. So his people who funded him had that confidence. Another example which comes to mind is the all time great Akira Kurosawa of the Japanese film industry. Kurosawa's financiers, Kurosawa's producers never asked him a question. And he went and he shot and he shot and he shot, consuming film, spending a lot of money, cost of production going through the ceiling. But his financiers knew that here was a master filmmaker, and the final product that he delivered would be nothing short of a classic. Today, with digital technology, the cost of the raw stock doesn't constitute a significant proportion of the total production cost of a film because today you're shooting with a chip, any number of takes. I have personally seen in one film in which I appeared, our call sheet was 9 o'clock and it was out in fact, it was near the Chilkur Balaji temple in a resort. So after coffee, breakfast, makeup, change into costume, around 10:30 I was ready and waiting for my turn. The shot was on the hero of the film and one of his three heroines. The great Madhu Ambat of the Malayalam film industry was shooting. And the film was being shot in what is known as sync sound or otherwise called online dubbing. In other words, what the artists, the actors say during the shooting is what goes into the final film. No dubbing, no subsequent dubbing. So we were sitting, drinking coffee. The shooting was going on. It was outdoors. So the director would say, lights, camera, action. Shooting would start. Then a dog would bark. And the director would say, cut, cut, cut. Next shot. Director will say, lights, camera, action. An aeroplane. And the director will say, cut, cut, cut. Someone would sneeze during the next shot. So cut. To cut a long story short, after 32 takes, the shot was okay. This was possible because we were shooting digitally. Also, because it was sync sound. In the normal film, you speak your dialogue during the shoot. Later, dubbing lo సర్దుకున్నాం అండి dubbing lo కొన్నాం. That was possible, but sync sound is a much more natural way of shooting films. The pioneers in this were the European filmmakers. Hollywood copied them later. But to come back to digital technology, you need less lighting, you need less makeup, you need smaller units, all of which contribute towards saving of costs of making a film. And that is very important because you know making a film is an expensive proposition. We have to be thankful to the European filmmakers for bringing in this because as good a dubbing artist as you may be, and there is a whole different breed of dubbing artists in Indian film industry who only do dubbing, who don't appear on the screen. The dialogue that you speak when you're shooting is the most natural. Although, if you look at Telugu film industry, there have been legends whose dubbing has been flawless, totally natural. The late great NTR comes to mind. I've not had the good fortune to see him dubbing, but I have seen, say, Brahmanandam dubbing. He does it with supreme ease and so naturally. But still, the trend is, and it should be, toward dubbing or sync sound. This, of course, also helps because your expenses towards payment to dubbing artists, hire of the dubbing studios, etc., is all minimized, if not totally eliminated. Another trend that is evident today is that there is a greater reliance on the visual of the film rather than on the dialogue. Earlier, it was the song, the dialogue that took the story forward. Today, that has been minimized. Songs, more or less, have been relegated to the background. Dialogue has been minimized. And there's heavy reliance on visual to carry the film forward. Digital technology also has helped bringing up a whole breed of excellent technicians. You're all aware that cinema is a group effort. The young boy who brings me my cup of coffee when we are on the sets and shooting is as important to the film as the superstar. Superstar oriented extravaganzas, I'm afraid, are seeing their last days. Today, the audience craves for new stories told differently, from a different perspective. Cinema has to reflect the reality of modern times. And that, fortunately, is what is happening. Today, people are shooting a feature film. Could you believe that? With a cell phone. Cell phone. I mean, to think about that a few years ago would not have no, would not have been imaginable. But today, yes, that is happening. Again, contributing to bringing down costs. Look at funding of films. Earlier, there used to be rumors that money from, well, questionable sources from abroad was bankrolling Hindi films, for instance. We know for certain that money made in different businesses, be it construction, trading, manufacturing, what have you, used to be invested in the film industry because they saw it as a profitable venture. Of course, established studios produce films. Today, the scenario is that the corporates have got into the act. To put it very simply, the industry has become highly professional. Wonderfully trained technicians, actors coming out from film institutes, from acting schools, today are in the film industry. It is no longer considered not very decent to be part of the film industry. Earlier, if you recall, girls from, quote, respectable, unquote, families were hesitant, or their parents were hesitant, to send them to act in films. Not so anymore. Professionally competent technicians, actors are today manning the film industry. It is, as I said, getting professionalized, and you can see the results. Technology today is available in India 2 days after it is available in the United States. With world class technology available, with young, bright directors, with new ideas getting into the film industry, I foresee a very bright future for films in India and the world over. My own advice to you is, you see, films, this kind of classification of mainstream, art, and so on is really not very valid. According to someone who's a well known director in Hindi films, he said, look, there are good films and there are bad films. A good film is one which raises the collective consciousness of the viewing audience. A bad film does not do that. That, I think, is really a correct division. The way you learn about films, filmmaking, because it is a very, very enjoyable experience. You must enjoy seeing films. Look at the change in the last stage of films, which is exhibition, the advent of multiplexes, OTT platforms. From the comfort of your drawing room, you are watching world cinema. Dubbing is something which is gone. Today it is subtitling. High quality subtitling enables you to see films in whatever language of the world. And the scenario today is that there are so many countries which have a highly developed filmmaking industry. I would advise you to see films made in other countries, which, as long as you're familiar with the language of subtitling, there also you have choices to keep seeing films. Films made by well known directors from different countries who have, who will, I'm very confident, widen your perspectives, introduce you to the. See, after all, filmmaking is an exercise in storytelling. You can tell a story in a book, you can tell a story through dance, you can tell a story through songs, you can tell a story through a play, you can tell a story through a puppet show, and you can tell a story through films. Films are a very, very powerful audio visual medium they became as popular as they did because at one point of time it was the cheapest mass entertainment, and the poorest section could afford to go and see a film. Today, of course, single screen theaters are closing down because it's no longer economical. The multiplexes have come to stay. Multiplexes mean better projection, better seating, parking facilities, toilets, availability of food courts, shopping malls, etc., attached to multiplex theaters, and by and large, a better ambience. People complain saying, but the admission is very high. Well, I mean, it is comparative. The value of the rupee is not what it used to be. So if you take that into consideration, it's still affordable. Evidenced by the fact that when a good film is showing, the theaters are normally full. Also, the other great advantage of multiplexes is that it affords an opportunity for the exhibition of low budget films. Talking about funding of films, crowdfunding has come to stay for low budget films. In my personal humble opinion, these are the kinds of films that we should make. Fortunately, I foresee a time when the superstar oriented extravaganzas that we were fed for decades is slowly disappearing. Competent, trained actors from Film Television Institute of India, other acting schools, competent and trained technicians from various institutes are getting into this industry. And thank you very much. They're doing very well. They're doing very well. And the multiplexes have afforded them this opportunity of exhibiting the films that they make. Because after all, if you make a film and it rots in the cans, what's the use? There's also a very fine movement today of restoration of old films, which are classics, and some, unfortunately, lost to us forever because they have not been preserved the way they should have been preserved. But archiving and restoration, these are wonderful things which have saved for us a lot of films which would otherwise have been lost. So, all these changes taking place in the film industry augur well for the future. I would recommend that you watch the words. I'm afraid the list is a little long, and you'll have to bear with me. Of filmmakers like countries that you couldn't even imagine. Senegal, Usman Sembane, fine filmmaker. Akira Kurosawa, Ozu from Japan, Kiarostami, Mohsen and Samira Makmal Ba, Jafar Panahi, Majid Majidi, all from Iran, Visconti, De Sica, Fellini, Antonioni, Bertolucci, and others from Italy, Godard, Renoir, Bressot, Truffaut, and others from France, Herzog, Fassbinder, Buñuel, Almodovar from Spain, Istvan Zabo, Istvan Gal, Yanchuk from Hungary, Latin American, African, and Hollywood films, and films from Arab countries, Turkey, Morocco, Libya, Algeria, Palestine, Wonderful films are coming out. Please do see them, as well as the works of very, very fine directors working in the Indian film industry. They are, well, I would point out films made in Bengali, Malayalam, Telugu, Marathi, Gujarati, Assamese, and Kannada, starting with sorry, starting with the great one and only Satyajit Ray, Bimal Roy, Ritvik Ghatak, Mrinal Sen, Tapan Sinha, Rituparno Ghosh, Aparna Sen, Buddhadev Dasgupta, Girish Karnad, Girish Kasarvalli, Nagabharana, M.S. Satyu, Adur Gopal Krishnan, Aravindan, John Abraham, Shaji Karun, M.T. Vasudevan Nair, Ramu Karyat, Kantilal Rathod, Ketan Mehta, Janu Bodua, Amol Palekar, Sham Menegal, Govind Nihalani, Sudhir Mishra, Jabbar Patel, Anurag Kashyap, Vishal Bharadwaj, Ansal Mehta, and the list is endless. Do see their works, keep seeing films, see such films that when you exit a theater, you would be tempted to discuss various aspects of the film that you have just seen with friends. That is proof positive that the film that you've seen has made an impact on you. Read about films. It is a highly sophisticated industry in the sense that film studies today are part of the curriculum of several universities and is being studied very seriously, and a lot of literature generated. This will enlighten you, this will not only entertain you, but also educate you, widen your perspectives, and in a manner of speaking, perhaps even change your mindset when you're looking at that particular industry. I have learned a lot from this industry. I'm proud to belong to this industry. I have enjoyed my stint. I have received a lot of encouragement from my audience and from the people that I have worked with. I have really been privileged to have been cast in roles which have stayed in public memory in several of the films that I have done. I'm thankful to our producers, to the units with which I worked, to the directors, to the chota chaiwala who brings me my cup of tea when I'm shooting, uh, and finally to our audience. And I'm thankful to you for your patience and having given me this opportunity, Dr. Virenchi, uh, Alaknanda Devi, and others from the Essence group. Thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure. Anyway, good night to you. Of course, I'll take questions. Thank you.
Uh, Before taking questions, we will give some little bit breaks.
Thank you.
The break is about 5 to 10 minutes. Please frame your questions and make it prefaced. Post it in the chat box.
Also, I would caution you, the kind of audience that you have, I have a fair idea of the profile. Uh, I'm not an expert. So questions that I can answer with my, well, limited knowledge, I'd be glad to do so.
అలకనంద ప్లే అవుతుందా వీడియో?
Oh, wait a second, he'll come back.
See.
ఓకే. ఉండు.
ఫీల్డ్స్ లో ఉన్నారు సార్. మీరు మల్టీ ఫీల్డ్స్ లో ఉన్నారు కదా, సో యాక్టింగ్ ఎట్లా బిగిన్ చేసేటప్పుడు మీ ప్రిపరేషన్ ఎలా ఉండింది సార్? అంటే టు బీ ఇన్ యాక్టింగ్, వాట్ వాస్ ద థింగ్స్ యువర్ ఇన్ మైండ్ అండ్ వాట్ వాస్ ద ఎసెన్షియల్ థింగ్ టు గెట్ స్టార్ట్ విత్ యాక్టింగ్?
Theatre. In my case,
ఎస్.
it was amateur English theatre, starting from the time I was in college, which has continued. And today we do something called dramatized readings. Readings for invited audiences, selected, curated readings, because formal proscenium theatre needs a different kind of energy, a different kind of resource. But with selected readings, curated readings to invited audiences, you have the script in hand. No makeup, no costume, no sets, no movement, only with your voice. You should bring the script alive and communicate it effectively to the listening audience. So, theatre teaches you a lot. In theatre, you'll appreciate no retakes. If you don't portray your character properly, you can expect to receive rotten tomatoes and eggs in your face. Cinema at least gives you the opportunity of retakes. So to come back, I look upon my involvement in theatre and continuing involvement as the best preparation that I could ask for to appear before the camera. Camera is a devil, honestly. All of us who are actors fear the camera because it catches every single little fault and the director will say, cut, retake. So that's how it is. Carry on.
ఎనీబడి ఎల్స్ వాంట్స్ టు ఆస్క్? ఆనంద్ గారు మీరు.
Anand garu posted
ఆనంద్
one
గారు
question
ఇందాక మీరు
in
ఒక
the
మంచి
chat box, Madhu.
యా, ఆయన ఉన్నారు కదా, చెప్తారేమో అని చెప్పి డైరెక్ట్ గా. బికాస్
Okay.
ఆనంద్ గారు ఓకే, లేకపోతే నువ్వు చదివేసే ఒకసారి సార్.
The films recently came up shows absurd violence in the name of display of love. I would not name the film. I believe few people indulge in making of this film is very much okay as they have different perspective of love. We see that these films are widely being accepted and viewers throwing to the theaters. What do you make of these? It's the people who are viewing these films are to be blamed of the society we are making. You have seen the days of utmost value added cinema of those days and now, hence the question.
Very good question. Very important question. Very topical question. I fully agree that the kind of violence that is being depicted in films being made now have had a terrible effect, particularly on the young viewers. They have influenced the behavior in real life of this section of society, which is very, very unfortunate. No, the filmmaker has a responsibility to the viewing audience. It is not the audience which is at fault. After all, they pay good money to go and see a film, whatever the film may be. And if this is the stuff that you're dishing out to them, you are to be blamed, not the audience. You have a responsibility which you must discharge, keeping your conscience in view. Which is why, when we talk, I mentioned several filmmakers, directors. Why do we remember them? Why do we remember their films? They've stayed in our memory, in the collective memory of the audience. They've been discussed. They talk of values. They educate, not only entertain, educate. A certain amount of fictionalization, even in a written book, is acceptable. But otherwise, it is depiction of reality. If you're saying it's a question of the chicken or the egg, that this is how the society is, and this is what we are showing on the film, I'm sorry, I do not agree. You have started it, which is what has impacted the various layers of the viewing audience, age wise, culture wise, region wise, whatever you talk about. You're not discharging the responsibility thrust upon you as a filmmaker. And therefore, the primary responsibility is yours. I agree that it is abhorrent to see some of the films that uh, have been made, which are drawing crowds. You see, there are two things in films: there's critical acclaim and there is box office success. Also, when you talk about actors, there are stars and there are actors, different breeds altogether. Star is star is star. Who rides, in a Rolls Royce? I'll not take names, but in the Telugu film industry, there is a star who comes to the sets with a minimum of 7 assistants. 7 assistants. Now, I have worked with a superstar of the Malayalam films, and he came to the set with one single accompanist. And that too, that person was the director of the Malayalam version of the film that we were making in Telugu. When the director of this Telugu film wanted a particular chair to be moved a little bit for the shot, and he was at a little distance, because I was nearest to the chair, I took a step forward. But before that, this superstar from Malayalam, I mean, so big, he moved the chair. I said, Mr. So-and-so, you don't have to do it. No, no, sir, it's all right. The Malayalam film industry, I mean, they're a different kettle of fish, if I may say so. Totally budget oriented, extremely disciplined. Extremely disciplined. They do their work, they go away. Fortunately, that trend is also coming into Hindi films. It is there in Telugu and Tamil. And of course, in Bengal, where the director is the boss. So, yes, yeah, it is. No, don't blame the audience. It's the makers who are responsible.
So that was wonderful, sir. There is one more question from our group end. So they don't have the signal. I am putting that verse to you. Uh, the what do you see the difference of values of the olden days and the present day? Even this was my question too. So I just want to.
Oh, correct. See, time does not stop. Time moves. With the passing of time, life moves on. Change is the essence. Values change from generation to generation. The social environment, the milieu changes. We've seen the disappearance of the joint family and the advent of the nuclear family, about which I have mixed feelings. But then there it has happened. Consequently, values also change. Look at, say, the number of children that a woman can have or had in the old days compared to what the situation is today. Look at the whole question of women's rights. Look at the whole question of women in society. It's a wonderful development that the woman, the world over, is finally, but very definitely, finding a rightful place in society. That should have happened long ago, but at least it's happening now. So, values, as time changes, as society changes, as people change, will also change. And cinema, as I have said more than once, must depict the reality. And they do that. Even this violence, for instance, love, romance. I mean, love is universal. One must, of course, depict love. Love is such an integral part of all our lives. But the way you depict it, the way you combine violence with love, the way the hero treats the heroine as if she's a piece of furniture. This is not on. This is not the reality. It could be an exception or two. But to go and, build it into your theme, themes have to change. You have to tell stories. Stories that have content in them. Content-driven films is what the audience is craving for. I'm sorry, the audience will not accept these star-centered films for a very much longer period of time. What we need is not stars, we need actors. We need excellent directors. We need wonderful editors. We need wonderful script writers. In the film industry, the assets that you should create are or should be in the form of bound scripts, not superstars, whose remuneration sometimes accounts for 40% of the entire budget for a film. When that happens, every other aspect of filmmaking gets compromised because of the lack of budget. You've given away 40% of the hero. ఏం మిగిలింది? పెద్దగా ఏం మిగలలే. డైరెక్టర్ గారి రెమ్యునరేషన్ ఆయన జేబులో వేసుకుంటాడు. దాని తర్వాత ఏముంటుంది? So the quality of the film suffers. But notwithstanding all that, I have a very positive, optimistic view about the future of filmmaking. తప్పకుండా మార్పులు వస్తాయి, మంచి మార్పులు వస్తాయి, which is all to be desired. But yes, there's a value change, and it is inevitable, which must get reflected in meaningful films.
యెస్. యాహ్! దట్స్ ట్రూ. యాహ్! నిజంగానే రోజులను బట్టి వాల్యూస్ మారడం అనేది ఉంటుంది. మంచిది
తప్పకుండా.
వస్తదనే ఆశ కూడా బాగుంది. సో మా
Absolutely.
గ్రూప్ మెంబర్ మా గ్రూప్ మెంబర్ దేవి గారు ఒక క్వెషన్ అడగడానికి రెడీగా ఉన్నారు.
Oh
దేవి
yes,
గారు.
ready. చెప్పండి.
Good evening, sir.
Hello.
How do you suggest someone start building their career in acting or cinema, sir? And what qualities do you think are most important for succeeding in cinema, sir?
Obviously, you can say patience, perseverance, pattudala, passion for the field. Okay. What was the first part of your question?
How do you suggest someone start building their career in acting or cinema, sir?
Start small. Start small. You cannot become Sri Devi overnight, or Madhuri Dixit, or whoever you can think of. My own suggestion is, see, there are a lot of opportunities today in the world of television, in the fields of even documentaries. Documentaries are very, very important part of the filmmaking industry, as indeed it should be, because it's totally non-fiction. There is no putting in a song there, dance there, fight there, and so on. Start small. Start if possible. I would say theatre is very good training. It develops your confidence of being able to face an audience. Let me tell you, kashtam. But I have enjoyed theatre much more than films. Karanam ఏంటంటే in films, what are you doing? You're talking to the camera. You're talking to your fellow artists. But there is no interaction with the audience. In theatre, it is. And as I said before, retakes leave. సచ్చి చెడి కరెక్ట్ గా డైలాగ్ పలకాలి, కరెక్ట్ గా మూవ్మెంట్స్ ఉండాలి. So theatre is very good background. There are very good acting schools now which train you in different aspects of acting. And once you get into films, start with television. Nothing wrong with serials. చాలా మంచివి. I have appeared in 2 serials which have won Nandi Awards. Serials tell stories very effectively. So serials change. Television short films change. If you get an opportunity to do commercial shots, advertising films, why not? Still a very good experience. And then later, it is your passion, your dedication. అన్ని మర్చిపోవాల్సి వస్తుంది. I know of an artist, a good friend of mine, from the Telugu film industry. సాయంత్రం 4:30 ప్యాకప్ సీరియల్స్లో కొంచెం వర్క్ లాంగర్ అవర్స్, కొంచెం టైం ఉంది. She got a phone call saying that her mother had met with an accident, serious accident, that she had been removed to a hospital. So she was shedding tears. I said, ఏమైంది, ఎందుకు ఏడుస్తున్నారు మీరు, ఇది జరిగిందండి. వెంటనే వెళ్ళకూడదా, టేక్ వన్ ఆఫ్ ది యూనిట్ కార్స్, టేక్ మై కార్, ప్లీజ్ గో. లేదండి, ఇప్పుడు ఇంతమంది వెయిట్ చేస్తున్నారు, చార్ట్ రెడీగా అయింది, అదే కాకముందు నేను ఎట్లా వెళ్తాను. That was the spirit. There's another artist, like senior artist from the Tamil Telugu film industry. కూర్చొని ఇలా మాట్లాడుతున్నాం between shots, Ramoji Film City. She said, do you realize how lucky we are? అయితే కదా ఎందుకు ఈ మాట అంటున్నాను చూడండి, ఇవాళ మేము 10 మంది కూర్చున్నాము. There was Allari, Naresh there was Giribabu garu, senior people also. Betting Bangar Raju. So she said, do you realize? I said, why? She said, we are 10 of us here and we have parts in the films. How many people have we left? Lakhs and lakhs of aspirants who want to get into films, who don't get the opportunity. So I think you put a దృష్టిలో పెట్టుకోండి. When you appear on the for a shoot, remember that we are a privileged lot. Let us do justice to the roles.
Sir, here is my question.
Thank you so much, sir.
Not at all. No more questions?
I have the question, sir.
చెప్పండి.
How has the rise of streaming platforms influenced the narrative structure, production practices, and distribution models of contemporary filmmaking?
పెద్ద తేడా లేదమ్మా, నాట్ మచ్ డిఫరెన్స్, నాట్ మచ్ ఇంపాక్ట్. You see, after all, what is happening in OTT platforms? They're showing films, na?
Yes.
They're showing films. They're showing films on television, which you can watch from the comfort of your home. Look at the other aspect of it. Films made in different countries of the world, in different languages of the world, depicting different cultures, depicting different ways of life, made in different languages of the world, totally different ambience, environment, value systems. This OTT has enabled viewers in India, we are after living here, to see them. OTT enables low budget films to be screened.
True.
Because unlike in theaters, where the expectations of revenue are very high, ఇక్కడ బేరం కుదిరిన తర్వాత అంతే కదా, ఇన్ని లక్షలు ఇన్ని కోట్లు, that's it.
Yes.
Although now in theater screenings, streams of revenue have increased. అది చెప్పాలి. Ticket revenue కాక there are many other streams today. ఉదాహరణగా you dubbing rights, then song cassettes rights, satellite rights, ఇలాగా అన్నీ అమ్మడిపోతాయి. ఇన్ఫ్యాక్ట్ షూటింగ్ స్టార్ట్ అయ్యే ముందు some films have already recovered their investment. Rest is all profit, పండగ. అది అక్కడ జరిగేది. కానీ ఓటీటీలో బేరం కుదిరిన తర్వాత దట్స్ ఇట్. It's paid whatever mutually agreed between the filmmaker and the channel. But yes, that is what is happening. It is, I think bigger audience is now able to watch films, as long as you have a television, which practically everyone does, or a phone, cell phone, smartphone. Now చూడొచ్చు కదా, కంప్యూటర్ మీద చూడొచ్చు, ల్యాప్టాప్ మీద. So అది film is a film is a film. Whether you make it for OTT or for regular multiplex screening, the mechanics are the same. Mechanics are the same. The way you make the film, in terms of, the mechanics, they're no different. It's made the same way. Exhibition antara OTT platform. Cost antara takwa. ఆ బడ్జెట్స్కి వాళ్ళు చేస్తారు. But the opportunity that it has afforded, both to the filmmakers and to the film viewing audience, is incredible and to be warmly welcomed.
సార్ ఎలాగో ఓటీటీ ఇవన్నీ అనుకుంటున్నాం కదా, దీనికి రిలేటెడ్ గానే మన ఫ్రెండ్ ఇంకొక మాట ఏమని అడిగారంటే, ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్స్ లో మనకి వ్యూయింగ్ పెరిగింది ఆటోమేటిక్ గా, అండ్ టీవీలో కూడా చూస్తున్నాం. దీని వల్ల స్క్రీన్ మీద అంటే థియేటర్ కి వెళ్ళి చూసే ఆడియన్స్ తగ్గారా, లేకపోతే దాని మీద మీ కామెంట్?
తప్పకుండా తగ్గారు. పోతే the experience of viewing a film on a wide screen is qualitatively different from viewing, say, on a laptop or on a smartphone. Lot of people are conscious of that. కానీ ఇవాళ రేపు particularly in the urban areas, ఓకే, మల్టీప్లెక్స్ అడ్వాంటేజ్ నేను చెప్పాను, కానీ వెళ్ళాలి కదా, లాజిస్టిక్స్. అది ఎక్కడో 18 కిలోమీటర్ల దూరం మల్టీప్లెక్స్లో మార్నింగ్ షోని పెట్టారు. ఆ సినిమా తప్పకుండా నేను చూడాలి, చాలా బాగుంది, ద రివ్యూస్ ఆర్ వెరీ గుడ్, లాట్ ఆఫ్ క్రిటికల్ ఎక్లెయిమ్. కానీ ఏం చేస్తాం, ట్రాఫిక్. 18 కిలోమీటర్లు ట్రాఫిక్ అవర్లో ఇవాళ 1.5 గంటలు పడుతుంది. టికెట్లు రేట్స్ విపరీతంగా పెరిగిపోయినాయి. అది తప్పు. అది ఇట్స్ ఆల్ వెరీ రిలేటివ్. పోతే ఇక ఫ్యామిలీని తీసుకువెళ్ళాలండి. పిల్లలు ఐస్ క్రీమ్ అడుగుతారు. మనం అక్కడ వెళ్ళిన తర్వాత ఏదో ఒక సమోసా, ఒక చాయ్, ఒక కాఫీ తాగాలి. షాపింగ్ మాల్స్ కూడా పక్కనే ఉంది. మన కర్మజాలక అది ఎక్స్ట్రా ఎక్స్పెన్సెస్, పార్కింగ్, ఇవన్నీ ఎక్కడ గొడవలండి. 2-3 వారాలు వెయిట్ చేయండి, ఓటీటీ మీద వచ్చేస్తుంది. దట్ ఈస్ ఆల్సో వన్ లైన్ వర్క్. బట్ కానీ నాట్ విత్ స్టాండింగ్ ఆల్ దిస్, I say that it is a welcome development.
Yes, sir.
Here is
Yes,
one
sir.
more question, sir, from Bulsu, sir. What do you think of the role played by cinema in 20th century in the social and cultural evolution?
Cinema is a very important part of our lives. You ask yourself this question. మీరు ఫిల్మ్ చూడరా? చూస్తారు. నాకు ఇప్పుడు నేను రిటైర్ అయ్యాను కదా. సో I see maybe 5 films in a week easily from the comfort of my drawing room. And which means OTT. Sometimes, of course, regular channels like Netflix and Prime, they also telecast films. Cinema is very much part of modern life, whether urban or rural. Everybody sees films. It continues to be one of the cheapest forms of entertainment, affordable to practically the entire society. All layers of economic earnings, economics, it's very much there. And of course, there is impact. See, cinema is a very powerful medium. It's audiovisual. It's a huge impact. సినిమా చూసిన తర్వాత దాని గురించి డిస్కస్ చేస్తాం, కొట్లాడుకుంటాం సమ్టైమ్స్. ఏం బాగుంది, ఆమె నీ ఫేవరెట్ స్టార్ ఉంది అని బాగుంది అంటున్నావు, కథ ఏముంది దీంట్లో, ఆ టేకింగ్ ఏంటి, ఆ దరిద్రం, ఆ సెట్స్ బాగలేవు. Now, even in films you see one trend, they're shooting more outdoors. They're shooting sets తగ్గించేశారు. At best, a set is artificial. Shooting outdoors is much more natural. కాలర్ మైక్స్ ఇచ్చేస్తాడు వాడు, ఆన్లైన్ డబ్బింగ్ కూడా అయిపోతుంది. ఐ రిమెంబర్ ఎ టైం, ఈ పూచంపల్లి అని ఒక గ్రామం ఉంది ఇక్కడ వీవింగ్ ఇట్స్ వెరీ ఫేమస్. పూచంపల్లి గ్రామంలో మధ్యాహ్నం 3:30 గంటలకి ఊరు మధ్యలో ఉన్న ఒక ఇంట్లో వెనక పక్క బ్యాక్ యార్డ్లో ఒక షామియానా ఇరెక్ట్ చేసి one director recorded a song 3:30 in the afternoon in the middle of a village. A song. I have lent a dialogue or two for a few songs, and that was all in dubbing studio, totally controlled environment and so on. But this man, and he used the same version in the final film. I asked him, yeah, Amitala, well-known singer, what about Tundi? Akkada undotsa మేము. You know what he said? Okay, but don't breathe. Which of course is necessary. No disturbance. So atla ఎందుకు వచ్చింది అది? Yeah, what your question again? సారీ చెప్పండి.
యా సార్, అదే అంటే 20th సెంచరీలో సినిమా గురించి మాట్లాడుతూ
బిగినింగ్ లో ఏ ఇంపాక్ట్ ఉండేనో అంతనే ఇంపాక్ట్ ఇవాళ కూడా ఉంది, ఏం తగ్గలేదు. సినిమా. People will continue to see films People will continue to discuss films. Films will continue to be made. It's a very powerful medium for bringing about, to answer your question, changes in society, changes in the way people think, changes in societal values. That's how
యా
it
దేవి గారు ఏదో అడగాలనుకుంటున్నట్టున్నారు.
is.
Sir, do you believe social media has bridged the gap between actors and fans, making the connection more personal and real? How has it affected your own interactions, sir? ఇప్పుడు మేము ఇలా
You're
ఇంట్లో కూర్చొని
asking the wrong person. You're asking the wrong person. I am dead against social media. I think, please don't quote me, I think it's a nuisance.
ఇప్పుడు ఇలా మా ఇంట్లో కూర్చొని
I'm old fashioned. First thing in the morning, with my cup of coffee, I read a newspaper for news, for opinions. Yes, but you cannot ignore social media. Social media has become an integral part of our everyday life. Social media has its uses. I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that. In fact, the first information, the FIR, if you like, of happenings comes through social media. There are lively discussions. There's segregated groups which discuss issues which they want to keep in focus. There could be a group that would discuss gardening. There could be a group that would discuss the earthquake 3 days ago. Earthquake గురించి మాకు I think social media ద్వారానే first information వచ్చింది. సరే మర్నాడు it was all covered in the papers also. It has impacted. It has had a huge impact. People are depending on social media. Although I'm afraid it's not always very reliable. Just like ఇప్పుడు ఏదైనా ప్రశ్నకు సమాధానం లేకుంటే ask Google అంటారు. Google is not always very accurate. Please bear that in mind. They can also make a mistake. Kani, it's very much part of everyday life, as indeed is social media. And yes, it has had noticeable effect on our everyday life. And if you're happy with social media, you are luckier than I am.
ఇప్పుడు ఇలా మేము ఇంట్లో కూర్చుని మీతో మాట్లాడగలుగుతాం అసలు ఎప్పుడు అనుకోలేదు సార్. రియల్లీ థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్ సార్. వండర్ఫుల్.
Thank you all so much for this opportunity. And tell my old friend of 4 days, Alaknanda, that I'm very thankful to her.
Thank you, sir.